Welcome back, y'all. This is a wiki reader, and today we got a special topic because this is the man of the year of 2026, the comeback of the year. I'll say the comeback of the century, maybe the comeback of the millennial. We aren't just talking athletes, we are talking personalities, and the greatest personality to ever do it, the one who increased sales, the one who got things done. We are talking the man who once cheated death, and death didn't mind. When opportunity knocks, opportunity waited. If you can take a guess, go ahead and guess in the comments. And who are we going to be talking about? I'll give you a little background on this man before we start reading. He was an internet meme, popped off in 2006, had a nice 10-year run of this portrayed person, and now he's back in 2026. Had a great debut at college playoffs because beer, college football, Americana go together. He was tried to replace in 2016, but that only lasted 2 years. And this man who replaced him has zero acting career besides doing this. But he was not this man. If you know who I'm talking about, go ahead and put it down in the comments. Let's get going. We are talking about The Most Interesting Man in the World by Dos Equis. The Most Interesting Man in the World is an advertising campaign for Dos Equis beer, featuring actor Jonathan Goldsmith as a bearded, debonair older gentleman with voiceovers that were both humorous and outrageous. The advertisements began appearing in the United States in 2006 and became a popular internet meme. The original campaign ended in 2018. In 2026, though, Dos Equis announced it would be reviving this campaign. History. The advertisement began appearing in the United States in 2006 with the most interesting man in the world, who was portrayed by American actor Jonathan Goldsmith, and frontline narrator Will Lyman providing those great voiceovers. They were produced in marketing firm of Euro RSCG, now Havana's worldwide, for the brewery. Goldsmith landed the Dos Equis gig by auditioning for the role. Auditioners were given the ending line, and that's how I armed wrestle Fidel Castro, and asked to improvise. Goldsmith began his audition by removing one sock and then improvised for 30 minutes long before reaching the concluding line, and that's how I wrestled Fidel Castro. The character was inspired by his deceased sailing partner and friend, Fernando Lamas. In 2016, Dos Equis announced the Goldsmith retirement from the role. His last commercial saw him take a one-way journey to Mars amid much acclaim that the narration, his only regret is not knowing what regret feels like. In September, the French actor Augustin Legrand made his debut as Goldsmith's replacement, Not What We Wanted. The campaign was ended in 2018 and replaced by a new campaign, Keep It Interessante. Goldsmith was the GOAT at being the most interesting man in the world. This other guy couldn't get it done. In January of 2026, Dos Equis announced, amid declining beverage sales, that the campaign would be revived, with the Goldsmith returning as the most interesting man. The first commercial of the campaign scheduled to air in January 19th, 2026 on ESPN during the 2026 College Football National Playoff Championship broadcast. Like I said, beer, football goes together. Advertisements. A Goldsmith advertisement featured an old bearded man. They also featured a montage, mostly in black and white, of daring exploits involving the most interesting man when he was a younger man. The precise settings were never revealed, but he performed incredible feats such as freeing an angry bear from a bear trap, performing a break shot in pool by shooting the cue ball from the mouth of a man lying on the pool table, stitching up his own shoulder in a field hospital while flirting with the nurses, hand feeding a nest of egrets while sending a cliff face, surfing rogue waves, and bench pressing two young women each seated in a chair. The voiceovers themselves were intended to be both humorous and outrageous, including giving his own father the talk, experiencing an awkward moment just to know how it felt. Finding the Fountain of Youth but not drinking it because he wasn't thirsty. Other feats are more centered around his physical abilities and personality. These include changing foreign policy through small talk, slamming a revolving door, and parallel parking a train. The advertisement ended the most interesting man, usually shown as sitting in a nightclub or other social setting surrounded by beautiful young ladies. Says, I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis. Each commercial ends him saying the signature line to sign off, stay thirsty, my friends. There is a secondary advertisement that are similar to the final parts of the original advertisements. They feature a man sitting on a social setting surrounded by beautiful young women, conveying short opinion to the viewer on certain subjects such as bar nuts, the two-party system, self-defense, trophy wives, and the bromance. He finishes the advertisement by holding Dos Equis in the beer and saying, stay thirsty, my friends. The advertisement featuring Legrand ended up with a slightly different spin-off. Stay thirsty, mis amigos. Spanish for my friends, even though he was French. Sales strategies and results. The agency's rationale for the brand strategy was defined as he is a man of rich in stories and experiences, much the way of the audience hopes to be in the future. Rather than the embodiment of the brand, the most interesting man is a voluntary brand spokesperson. He and Dos Equis share a point of view on life, and it shall be lived interestingly. According to the company, sales in the United States increased each year between 2006 and 2010 and tripled in Canada in 2008, although exact figures were never provided by Dos Equis. The sales have increased by 22% of the time, while other sales imported into the U.S. fell 4%. Goldsmith said in an interview he realized how successful the campaign had been when the man came up to him in a restaurant telling Goldsmith that he had asked his son when he grows up, what does he want to be? And his son replied, I want to be the most interesting man in the world. He said he had been approached on the street because of his roles by Michael Jordan, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and been invited to meet Barack Obama on multiple occasions. So, in the pop culture, the most interesting man in the world had become an internet meme with the picture of the most interesting man accompanied by the phrase, I don't always drink X, but when I do, Y. In September of 2012, airing on Saturday Night Live, guest host Joseph Gordon-Levitt played an unimprovised son of the most interesting man in the world in a pair of sketches with Jason Sudeikis appearing as the father in the second. Goldsmith briefly reprised his role as the most interesting man in the world during an advertisement for Stella, the commercial that was first aired in 2019 during the Super Bowl. So he went from Dos Equis to Stella to try to revive it as the most interesting man in the world. Goldsmith also reprised the role in a series of commercials for Austral Tequila in 2019. These commercials, Goldsmith's character is informed by his young assistant that he won some sort of argument competition. Goldsmith's character is usually uninterrupted while finishing some incredible task in his office. Upon hearing the good news, Goldsmith's character then dropped what he was doing, saying, this calls for tequila. His young assistant adds, the best tequila. Goldsmith's character then sets down the bottle of tequila, looks at the camera, and says, Astral Tequila. In December of 2023, Goldsmith reprised the character again in an advertisement for crypto firm. You know what's interesting these days? Bitcoin, he says. Some of the examples of his greatest moments. He once cheated death, and death didn't mind. Mosquitoes refused to bite him purely out of respect. His 2 cents is worth $37 and change. He won the Lifetime Achievement Award twice. And that is the most interesting man in the world. Join me next time here on Wiki Reader as we cover different Wikipedia pages daily. I read them to you so you don't have to. Peace.